So, I want to talk about an incident that occurred today that made me think about relationships of all different kinds and loss. So, I recently had to change insurance companies, car insurance companies, and I've been with one in particular for 35 years. And the reason I had to switch is because they kept raising their rates and charging me for fees that were not my fault or and like that had nothing to do with me, and it just became a big hassle. And I mentioned to them like, I haven't called like not once for a complaint, like not once in 35 years have I ever called you guys for a complaint. So I'm asking you guys to work with me, but like the problem just continued. So I switched today, got on board with the new car insurance, and then had to tell the old car insurance that I'm leaving. And the response was pretty much like, okay, right? And it just made me sad, right? And I was telling my person right now of like, there doesn't seem to be, or there isn't, of course, like this loyalty of like this customer loyalty or customer service that used to exist many years ago, like even between employer and employee. But in this case, it was like, policy company to policy holder. And I remember like my dad was a steel mill worker he was a crane operator at a steel mill for 40 years, and he never took a sick day, like no sick days. He had an incredible work ethic. And he took one force because he had a fever, and it was kind of funny because he was miserable the whole day, but he was a very loyal employee. And then everything was outsourced or so, and it was like this profound sadness that he felt because it's like after 40 something years of dedicated work, he was let go. And on a much smaller scale, what I experienced today was just like I couldn't even explain it, but it was just sad. Like I've been with you guys for 35 years, and you're not even trying to ask me why I'm leaving. And it turns out like yeah, like I am just a number. I'm just a code. Like it doesn't matter how valuable. And I guess in this case, like I'm not valuable. I'm just a number. So there's disappointment when it comes to, I mean, like any kind of loss, of course, but in this case, it's um, lack of loyalty, or lack of appreciation. That's the word, like lack of appreciation. So, this can happen like when an employer is not appreciating you, right? Or your partner isn't appreciating you, and it cuts deep when you work so hard to get that, or to strive for that. And but it still goes, with the notion of like, we develop higher standards for ourselves, and one of those is I will not be disrespected or undervalued. And today I felt undervalued. And so I did something about it, and so when that happens in our life, we have to, assess like what is best for us and our family, realizing, okay, we don't get married to corporations, we don't get married to policyholders, we don't get married, we get married to ourselves, right? Like we put, like I have to choose me, you have to choose you. We put ourselves first, ourselves and our family first, no matter what. And you see a pattern, right, evolving over time where you are being undervalued. And at that point, it's time to bounce, right? It's time to leave, because we are not, those are things that we just will not tolerate and should not tolerate.